Hey there, everyone. Welcome to Life Stories, powered by Lifesong, where we get to talk to some of the most extraordinary people. They're not extraordinary because they have unusual gifts or abilities, but because they've said yes to partnering with God in his care for the vulnerable child. And today we have a special guest, and I don't say that lightly. Every single person who is going to be on this season of the podcast shares three things in common. They love Jesus, they're passionate about serving the vulnerable child, and they are massive fans of Lifesong for Orphans because Lifesong has played a part in their quest to serve the vulnerable child. And one of the people who serves at Lifesong is Andy Lehman, vice president, and has a personal relationship with everybody on this this season. Andy, it is, man, really great to have you on, and look forward to this chat.
Man, it's a humbling opportunity. Really grateful, and anytime we can talk about God's heart and how we get to walk with Him, then it's a joy and a privilege to do that with you, with the other guests, and with this audience both.
I'm going to start with a little trivia. Whenever I have spoken to you, you have traveled at least 3 times. I'm curious to know, how many countries have you been to? Is that a number you have on the top of your head?
Wow, I don't have a number. I don't have a specific number. I do know last year I think I was in 16 countries between not just like a layover, but just in or out of one. So that was last year, but I don't know how many total. And sometimes, they are the same as I had done prior year. So, but I don't know the net total. I don't know. Maybe I'll get the passport details when I get to heaven on the whole deal there.
I was just thinking, I'd love to see your passport and what it looks like. And man, there's a little bit of godly envy. Let's call it that. Would it be easy for you to pinpoint, maybe not necessarily a place you've traveled that you like better than others, but maybe there's something that you connect with most naturally? I mean, whether it's culturally or whether it's aesthetically, when you've traveled as much as you have, is it possible to pick a place on God's green earth that strikes you uniquely?
That's really, really interesting. I think my mind and my heart go to who has the most scars of sorts. And I think about our friends in Ukraine, and both years ago during persecution, how deep and committed when they come to Christ. It's for reals, right? They're not just saying a prayer because life and death was a part of that yes. Today, in the middle of a Russian invasion, their yes is still on the table, and it's life or death. And the reality of that being with them, I would say some of our friends in Haiti right now going through some of those challenges. So I think, but it's also looking in the eyes of a 12-year-old girl in Guatemala who was forced to sleep with other guys just to pay rent, and her mom, made her do that so they could live. And so it's a humbling thing, I think, when people have wounds and scars and still believe in the goodness of God, the sovereignty of God, and I get to hear that, I am changed. They mentor me, they disciple me, they help walk and frame this life in a way that is God-honoring. And so anybody that's been through hard is part of how I'd answer that. And some of those countries is part of what resonates the most. And I see God, I see God's people. Food is great, views can be incredible, all those things, but it's a real deal people that are still saying yes to God and trusting Him through things they would never choose.
And that's amazing. that of all the different things, it's the people, the yeses that prove valid even in challenging
Yeah.
seasons. That's humbling. And every time I've sat with the Lifesong family, that's been an anthem. It is someone in the family, especially our brothers and sisters in other parts of the world, who are going through unbelievable challenges. And yet somehow they seem to bring the greatest joy. They
Yeah.
seem to point us most passionately back to Jesus. And that is, man, that's a striking thing. Let me maybe talk about your travels, and then I'll backtrack a little bit after that. Um, you Again, you don't travel purely to sightsee. By the grace of God, I'm sure He allows you to see some pretty incredible things. But this is part of what Lifesong does. So you go to these different countries. What's the goal? Who is there? I know Lifesong has a lot of partners. You all pour into so many folks on the front lines who are your friends and now your family and advocates. What's the goal when you travel?
Multiple prongs. One is Holy Spirit, Father God, what do you want us to see? Like, help us to see as you do, both the problems, the opportunities, the people. So it's, God, help me see, help us see you. We want to encourage our leadership team, but also the guard at the gate and the teacher in the classroom, the cooks in the kitchen, so to speak, right? So to encourage them that what they do, their faithfulness reflects God, and to encourage them, pray with them, listen. There's a lot of time of just asking questions to listen to them. Being listened to is so close to being loved. Most people don't know the difference. And that idea of how do we listen well, ask questions, seeking to understand, and also solve problems, right? The real challenges of security, finances, how do we deepen discipleship? How do we create jobs? And that's part of Lifesong's mission. Every orphan we serve, we want them to experience Jesus, family, jobs. And so there are barriers to each of those: Jesus, family, jobs. How do we remove those? Sort of problem solving, identifying things, as well as then the people we're bringing with, we're engaging other followers of Jesus, other business owners, other people that see God's heart, say, I want to be not on the sidelines. I want to be in this with you. So we're listening to God, encouraging our team, and engaging others. That's our purpose, and a lot of listening, and then also tactical. What do we do to deepen? And part of that deepening is not what do we do more of, but who also can we collaborate with? Who else? There are other followers of Jesus, not just Lifesong, in that place or in that vicinity. Who can we collaborate with to go further, faster, deeper? And so that's another big part of what we're doing while we're there.
And for anyone listening, I do not work for Lifesong for Orphans. I just fell head over heels with the work that God is doing through this movement, through this family. And there are a lot of things that one can say in theory, but the unusual mark of Lifesong in those places is that people have been empowered in the gospel. They've been empowered in their communities and in sustainable ways, and yet they look exactly the same. They weren't required to abandon their culture, what they enjoy, what their gifts are. It's literally this movement that comes alongside, sees what Jesus is doing, and fans a flame. That's beautiful that you guys come along. Is that an intentional part of the work of Lifesong? Or do you think that's just an organic result of saying your yeses to Jesus?
Mm. Yeah, in some ways, maybe it's some of both, partly organic and partly intentional, and it probably goes back to, again, what is our our view is that every single person is created in the image of
Come
God,
on.
an image bearer, and then has talent, skills,
Yes.
perspective, contribute. So that's the organic and the intentional. Like, oh yeah, like that's the bottom line truth. And so we're not going to create them in a Lifesong image or a Lifesong tattoo
Yeah.
or all those
Yeah.
sorts of things, right? It's not about Lifesong. It is about who has God made them to be, and then helping them and them helping us to see how do we do this again together with each other. There might be some agriculture skills that are pretty natural, and they're grown up with that, maybe generationally, right? And so then that's a talent. How can we help come alongside that with a little bit of technology we might be aware of, or a little bit of scale that we could help with? And when I say we, I'm talking about followers of Jesus, and other skill sets, not just Lifesong. But yeah, and then asking them what problems do they see, what are they experiencing in Zambia? Right now, like there's a lot of electricity shortage, right? So power outages are massive. That's a problem they're experiencing. How do we help them solve for that? That helps them, their community, Lifesong schools. So that's like, that's a problem you're experiencing. How can we connect people to understand solar power, and let's create a solution together that solves your problem locally, equips you to be even a power provider in a community? That's awesome. That's empowering them, and that's meeting a real need that none of us could do on our own, but with each other, we can create something pretty special.
Oh man. I've been humbled by that, and I think the beautiful reminder of the gospel when you describe it, I'm like, man, that is, you know, we can't wait to get to heaven and see Jesus' passport. Because man, yeah, I took a
Yeah.
trip, and my goal was to, man, to introduce them to myself, to invite them to be a part of my
Yeah.
family and to give them purpose, forever. And it's not to change you into something I didn't create you to be, but it's to invite you to the fullest version of everything and remove the obstacles that stop you from doing that. I'm like, life song for orphans, and you can see why for me. I fell in love with the work of Life Song, and I grew up in Zambia, like I mentioned. I had seen a lot of folks come in with a very "we will do for you because we are essentially better than you, and will create this constant dependence,"
Right.
versus like, no, we're going to come alongside you and we are going to try and create sustainability so that in an ideal world, you invite us over for dinner, but not because you depend on us.
Right on.
And
Right on.
it's beautiful, man. It's beautiful.
Absolutely. Preach it.
Yeah, hey, I'm just telling you what I appreciate. Andy, I'm going to take man a step back. I'm curious to know this about you personally. Your passion for Jesus and the way it manifests in serving the most vulnerable. Um, how did that start? Was it something you heard, something you saw, something you read? Was there a moment? Was there a person? Was there, you know, maybe it's intangible over a course of time?
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great question. That so many things. I think one is the absolute goodness to know
Mm.
Jesus personally for real when I was 14, and saw that modeled in a healthy family. So I'm thankful for that. That's it wasn't like a big light bulb moment. So, but as I grow into that, who is Jesus and walking with Him in the college years, some of our our friend group would go volunteer at a children's home in Indiana called Gateway Woods near Fort Wayne. And that sparked something. I saw like, oh, I was just going with some friends that they were serving. And then I'm like, whoa, like I see hurt children, family, followers of Jesus. That is amazing. And so, yeah. And then when my wife and I were engaged, actually, I remember a street we were on. We were engaged to be married and dreaming about like, what will the future look like? All the hopes, dreams, how many kids, where will we live? What will life be like? All those things. But Jill and I vividly remember God placing upon our hearts all the fun, all the awesomeness of that, but there's also purpose. And God put in our hearts adoption, foster care, serving at that children's home I just mentioned that we had previously mentored, been a part of. Like that was part of purpose that God gave to us. But we're also seeking, like, why did you put us together? We asked the question. So I think it's not that extraordinary. It's just like, God, what did you make me for? What did you put us together for? And continuing to do that through life is like asking God generative questions, not just directional, but like, what do you have in mind? And when he vividly put that in our hearts, and then we still did normal life, right? Finishing college, went to work at State Farm Insurance, did some corporate HR, and and then then Jill and I were studying scripture and memorizing a verse, James 1:27, and it was, pure religion is to visit widows and orphans in their distress and keep yourself unspotted from the world. And like Jill and I have this verse up on the fridge we haven't memorized. Like, okay, God, but again, asking questions. God, we've got this memorized, but how do we live it out? What do we do about that? And literally within 2 weeks of praying that specific prayer, God show us how to live it, not just memorize it. Then we get a letter saying, somebody gave us your name. We have a need for house parents at this children's home. Will you consider? I had just been promoted to a role I really desired at State Farm. 50-some people had applied to it. I was one of 2 people hired. I was really pumped. And I felt like, even though I was excited about that next role and season, God reminded us of our purpose and the specific answered prayer, and go walk in it. Leave what I had been normally just to go serve. And it was some of the hardest and most difficult part of our years, early married, young kids. You're parenting 7 at-risk, troubled kids, right, from hard places. But it was so sweet, so meaningful, some of the most meaningful, purposeful. And that was part of what also helped us maybe see, like, wow, adoption is hard. Some of the children in our home when we were house parents, they were struggling with some of those things, and it kind of took off the overly romanticized idea about adoption or foster care and made it very real. But also, like, I've called you to it, walk in it. And so I think then as Gary Ringer and Ringer family had sold a business and wanted to start up Lifesong, and Gary invited me, will you help me start up this opportunity? And so that's kind of why I'm at Lifesong is, but I would say, going back to Jill and I asking God, why have you put us together? And then slowly just asking simple questions of God and trying to listen. And they're pretty simple. It's not extraordinary.
That's so powerful. And it's so evergreen, Andy. Like, I'm listening to that and I feel re-challenged by that. Am I still asking those questions, or am I afraid that I've made something too valuable, that I've chosen promotion over purpose? And for you saying, no, those 2 things came up at the same time. Like,
yeah, right. Yeah,
that's
exactly.
It's such a great question. And also just another reminder, like James 1:27 may not be in all of our refrigerators, but it's a banner over all of our lives, that at some level or another, it's a question we all ought to be asking. How does my purpose, whatever sphere of life that happens to be, how does my purpose and world intersect with this, calling and command? And again, maybe we'll even pivot here, because Lifesong for Orphans is one of the most diversified pictures of you don't have to be a house parent. You don't even have to adopt to say yes to his purpose and partnering with him in serving the vulnerable child. I mean, I have at our Lifesong family reunions, I've met farmers, there are engineers, there are people in the political space, there are people who've never adopted, there are grandparents age who have adopted. I mean, it's a span of people from every sphere. I can guarantee you, if you're listening to this conversation, whatever your life looks like, there is someone I've interacted with who's part of the Lifesong family who has used that gift, that stage of life to say yes to partnering with God. Is that strategic for Lifesong? Because y'all have figured out ways everybody can say yes.
Yeah, early on, we have been intentional to say, like, our mission at Lifesong is helping bring joy and purpose to orphans. And although that's very, very true, even more, when we love God and love his people, then we get this opportunity. That's really all you need. Do you love God, love his people? Then we get to reflect his word, his heart, and everybody has an opportunity, whether to give or to go or to pray or to adopt or to connect, right? Whatever. All of us have seeds. Seeds meaning opportunity, resources, talent, skills, and abilities. We can stick those in a silo, but silos are just meant for temporary things. We need to get those seeds out, get those seeds planted by God. And as we give, go, pray, adopt, connect, lend skill set, talent, expertise, flourishing happens. Those seeds planted by God become fruit, and we are made to flourish. That's what God does in and through our yeses. And so, yeah, whether that's child sponsorship or whether that's people can be a part of a prayer app and pray for women facing unexpected pregnancies. People can go on vision trips, mission trips, come with me on a trip, or many others, right? But also lending their skill sets in their everyday, in their home or in their business. If we're going to help every child we serve experience Jesus, family, and jobs, then there's something that they're doing that can be contributed. Absolutely.
Yeah, man. Let me ask you one more thing. This is probably one of the boldest statements that y'all have made. You have lived up to everything I've ever heard you guys claim. But joy and purpose, you can almost make that arbitrary, and people can make it mean whatever they want it to mean. I've seen the joy, I've seen purpose, but what you cannot skirt around is this 100% pledge. And for anyone listening, one of the bold things Lifesong says is we don't believe money should be the reason a child does not have a loving family. Whoa. And then you all make 100% pledge to back the integrity of what you are called to do financially. But money shouldn't be the reason. Is there a way for you to summarize the way Lifesong goes about continually removing that particular obstacle?
And part of that statement of money should never be the reason a child doesn't have a family is because statistics say that 38% of couples that are followers of Jesus have seriously considered adoption, but only 5% actually do adopt.
And the number of kids that represents, by the way, is astronomical.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep. And both locally and globally, you're exactly right. Yeah. And so like let's and the number one reason why they don't adopt is because of financial barriers. And like, well, let's help remove that. Let's bring that that barrier down in and not through one large foundation but rather the followers of Jesus, church and local communities. And so at Lifesong, like, we want to help be a catalyst for that. We can help stimulate that. So we give matching grants or interest-free loans. We help churches set up church adoption funds, all of which to help facilitate bringing that financial barrier down. But we love to contribute, give an adoption grant to a family and say, here's a $5,000 matching grant, and we're going to help you share that with church, family, friends, people you do life with, and they get to give to Lifesong specifically for your adoption, on behalf of your adoption. And then both what we're contributing, what others give, 100% goes exactly where it needs to go to help fund that adoption or bring down those barriers. And we love that, because as followers of Jesus, church, family, friends, come alongside of another couple, the Bible talks about where your treasure is, your heart will be too. As you give, you don't just give and bring down a barrier. You create a community of people that are grafting in a child into a family, but into a church, right? And into both, not just now, but in their teens and in their 20s and all through life. That's beautiful. That is absolutely beautiful. And if we can help bring down the barrier there through creative, innovative tools, and do this in and through churches, we help over 500 churches set up adoption funds, some businesses, some family offices, family foundations, we help all of them do this. But all of that does take staff work and effort and people you have to you pay, right? So that still has to be paid for somehow. But we say we don't want any giver to Lifesong or to an adoptive family to have to pay the light bill. We want to pay the light bill on our own so that others don't have to. And specifically, we have this 100% pledge where anytime anybody gives to Lifesong, goes right to where that need is. We pay our admin and overhead bills through a foundation, through some other businesses that are dedicated. Their stock is dedicated to be given away to help fund that admin and overhead so that we can continue to offer that 100% pledge. We've been able to do that for the last 23 years, and Lord willing, we'll continue to do that for the next 20, 30, 40, as long as God sees that this is reflective of his heart and his will. So that's how we do that, and in a summary form.
That's incredible. Andy, thank you. For anyone listening who says, I want to learn a little bit more about Lifesong, because I know there's so many opportunities. And I literally can tell you, I double dare anyone to probe this ministry, to go on a vision trip, to check out the website, to ask the questions. And it's humbling. And anyone who may not know, you are audited and awarded for the integrity of the way this ministry lives up to everything that it says. But that's me bragging on you, not you, trumpeting any of those things, but simplest way to learn more.
Yeah, I think going to lifesong.org would be awesome you can see how we help bring joy and purpose to orphans, but we don't do that. It's actually all of you listening, right? You're not on the sidelines. You're in this with us. We are in this together with God. But lifesong.org, give, go, adopt, contribute, skill sets, talent. Let's do this together. And the enemy's going for scorched earth, right? A lot of evil, destruction, but evil, pain, trauma, they don't get the final word. Jesus does, and his people. God's empowering you and I to be a part of this. And this is what the abundant life and what matters most in life.
Woo! Brother, thank you. Blessings. I trust folks have been encouraged by this, and man, look forward to connecting, seeing you soon.
Appreciate you, brother.
Yeah. All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.